Welcome friends. Types of molecules. Molecules on behalf of consisting of water or not consisting of water or any other things which are connected by covalent bonds are categorized into four varieties. That is normal molecules. Second one is hydrated molecules. Third one is deuterated molecules, and fourth one are perhydrated molecules. Normal molecules are those molecules which are covalent molecules. Here our discussion is related to the substances which fits under the covalent category. Those are generally said to be the molecules in virginality. So therefore normal molecules are those molecules which are not having any kind of water of hydration and which are generally covalent in nature. And second are hydrated molecules. That is covalent molecule due to having a high polarization power, it attracts the water molecules from the atmosphere and the other things, and it is having some x number of water molecules along with this molecular formula. Such kind of things are said to be the hydrated molecules. And third one are deuterated molecules. These are the derivatives of the hydrated molecules. Instead of normal water H2O, instead of water of crystallization, here deuterated water is involved in the crystallization. Those are derivatives of hydrated molecules and are said to be the deuterohydrates. Whereas the last case, perhydrates, the covalent molecules instead of water molecule, if they hydrated with hydrogen peroxide molecules, then those of all are said to be the perhydrates. Per stands for here having excess amount of oxygen, whereas here water followed by hydrogen peroxide, if we observe, there is one oxygen extra. Hence, oxygen extra containing water is perhydrate. That is, without having any water, normal molecules, X molecules of water are present along with the molecular formula. Those of all are said to be the hydrated molecules. Instead of water molecules, if it is having D2O molecules, those of all are said to be the deuterated deuterohydrates. And if they are having hydrogen peroxide molecules along with the molecular formula by X number or N number, then these of all are said to be the perhydrates. Examples for categories. Normal molecules, mostly general, all varieties of molecules are examples for the normal category. Hydrated molecules, sodium thiosulfate 5H2O, copper sulfate 7H2O, magnesium sulfate 7H2O, calcium sulfate 2H2O, ferrous sulfate 7H2O, zinc sulfate 7H2O, sodium carbonate 10H2O, and the other hydrates are there. These are all are examples for the hydrated molecules. Whereas instead of water, if D2O molecules are there, these are all are deuterated deuterohydrates. Sodium sulfate 10H2O, that is 10D2O, copper sulfate 5D2O, magnesium sulfate 7D2O. Whereas instead of water, instead of D2O, if it is hydrated with hydrogen peroxide, then those of all are known as perhydrates. Sodium metaborate diperhydrate. These are the examples, some of the examples for the categories of the different varieties of molecules having water, having D2O, having hydrogen peroxide, and without having water. Another variety of classification of molecules, that is classification of molecules on behalf of ability to take up water molecules and to lose the water molecules to the surroundings. On behalf of this particular ability, if the molecules are having ability of taking up water molecules from the surroundings, especially from the atmosphere, those are of one category. And those molecules having water molecules in them and they readily lose as water molecules to the surroundings, those are said to be the efflorescent substances. Whereas molecules which can absorb the water from the atmosphere or surroundings are divided into two categories. One variety is said to be the hygroscopic, second variety is said to be the deliquescent. Hygroscopic substances are those substances which can take up water from the moisture or from the surroundings, but they maintains their physical state as it is. Such of substances are said to be the hygroscopic, interested towards water, but they sustains with their original physical state, that doesn't undergo any kind of physical change. Suppose glycerin. Glycerin is so viscous substance, if it is exposed to the atmosphere, it is having lower vapor pressure, it can take up the water molecules from the atmosphere, but the liquid or the viscous nature of the glycerin is maintained as it is. Such kind of substances are said to be the hygroscopic substances. Whereas second variety of absorption is there. In this, what happens is it can imbibe water, as a result it becomes wet, and further it becomes solution, that is in water it is getting dissolved. Such kind of substances are said to be the dilute present substances, that is absorption of water from the surroundings takes place as a result, and these are getting dissolved in the water, like aqueous solution formation takes place. Examples for this category are sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, magnesium chloride, calcium chloride, sodium nitrate, as well as calcium nitrate, and some more are there. And the last case, loses water molecules to the surroundings. Yes, these are having from the beginning the water of crystallization. These are having higher vapor pressure. If surroundings maintains lower vapor pressure, in that case what happens is certain molecules loses their water of hydration to the surroundings, that is losing of the water of hydration to the surroundings is said to be the efflorescence. Examples are sodium carbonate 10H2O, magnesium sulfate 7H2O, sodium sulfate 10H2O. These, if they are exposed to the atmosphere, they loses water molecules and they become less in number of hydration, and at last they will become a fine powder without having any kind of crystal structures. Thus, the deliquescence and the hygroscopic is possible if substance is maintaining lower vapor pressure compared to the surroundings. Whereas the efflorescence is possible if substance is having higher vapor pressure compared to the surroundings. Yes, laws of chemical combination. CC stands for your chemical combination. There are 5 laws which are generally applicable for the chemical combination of atoms or molecules. Whereas these laws are like this: law of conservation of mass, law of definite proportions, law of multiple proportions, law of reciprocal proportions, and law of gaseous volumes. This law of conservation of mass is proposed by Lavoisier, and it came into existence from 1774. Law of multiple proportions by Proust, and law of definite proportions by Proust, law of multiple proportions by John Dalton, law of reciprocal proportions by Richter, and the law of gaseous volumes is proposed by Gay-Lussac. First one is law of conservation of mass. Whereas as per this law of conservation of mass, what it states is, in a chemical reaction under laboratory conditions, normal chemical reaction which is not a nuclear transformation. Yes, in a chemical reaction, neither mass is created nor mass is destroyed, but one form of mass is converted to another form of mass. This is said to be conservation. There is no loss, there is no generation, there is no destruction, there is no gain, there is no lose. Such kind of system is said to be the conserved system. Here in chemical reactions, what happens is mass conservation occurs. Mass lose, otherwise mass lost in terms of in form of reactants will becomes equal to mass gained in terms of products. That is said to be law of conservation of mass. For example, let us see hydrogen and the oxygen molecules combination leads to the formation of water. As far the balancing of the entities concerned, 2 hydrogens plus 1 oxygen gives 2 water molecules. Consider in the beginning x grams of hydrogen is there and y grams of oxygen is there. In the chemical transformation, here it is 2 moles versus 1 mole combination takes place. Let us consider A grams of hydrogen is consumed and B grams of oxygen is consumed. As a result, the formed weight of water will becomes equal to how much? A plus B grams. So the masses comparison, before reaction the total mass of the components x plus y grams, whereas after reaction the components are x minus a grams of hydrogen, y minus b grams of oxygen, and a plus b grams of water. Total will becomes equal to once again x plus y grams. Thus neither mass is generated nor mass is destroyed. This is said to be law of conservation of mass. Law of definite proportions. Before going to the law of definite proportions, we should remind one thing, that is physical combination of molecules leads to the formation of pure compound. What law of definite proportion says is, irrespective of method of preparation of a compound or a molecule, it is consisting of definite proportions of weights of constituent atoms of elements with which it is composed. See, suppose here carbon dioxide is there. Carbon dioxide can be prepared by any of the methods. Carbon and oxygen leads to carbon dioxide. Carbon monoxide and oxygen leads to carbon dioxide. Methane followed by combustion with oxygen leads to carbon dioxide. Acetylene followed by oxygen, that is combustion, leads to carbon dioxide. There are many methods for the preparation of carbon dioxide. Thus, by any of the method you can prepare what may be the source for the preparation of a compound. Yes, once the carbon dioxide is prepared, in that carbon dioxide there are two elements, one is carbon and second one is oxygen. The weights of constituent atoms of elements is always constant. Always constant is always definite. Here carbon weight is 12 grams in this molecule, whereas oxygen weight is 32 grams in this molecule. Thus, though this may be prepared by this method or any of the method, the ratio of weights of atoms of elements with which a molecule is prepared is always definite, that is constant, and is said to be law of constant proportions or law of definite proportions. Law of multiple proportions. The weight of element B here, which combines with the fixed weight of another element A, always maintains, otherwise bears, a simple ratio of its corresponding weight in different compounds. So it is little bit difficult to understand. Let us go for the example. See, two elements are there. One is carbon and second one is oxygen. Let us consider carbon is A and the oxygen is B. Fixed weight of carbon is combining with different weights of oxygen to form more than one varieties of compound. As here carbon monoxide formation occurs, carbon dioxide formation occurs. The weight of carbon is here 12 grams, whereas weight of oxygen is 16 grams. Weight of carbon is 12 grams, weight of oxygen is 32 grams. As fixed weight of A is present, with the fixed weight of A, different amounts of B are going to be combining to form different varieties of compounds. Whereas in these two compounds, the weight of element which is combining with, that is oxygen combining with fixed weight of another element, fixed weight is 12 grams of carbon, is one is 16 grams, second one is 32 grams. If I take the ratio of that element which is combining with fixed weight of the first element in compound 1, compound 2 and another compounds, thus it maintains a simple numerical relation. See, 16:32, which are present in the ratio of 1:2. Once again I am going for the definition. That is, the weight of element B which is combining with the fixed weight of element A always maintains or bears a simple numerical ratio of its weight in different compounds formed by the chemical combination of them. Law of reciprocal proportions. Whereas as for this law, what it says is the weight of two different elements which combines with fixed weight of third element. Whereas those two elements, when they involve in chemical combination, then they will maintain the weight ratio as that of when they are combined with the fixed weight of the first element, or either multiples of that one or the submultiples of that one. Thus it can be stated in such a way that the weight of two different elements which combines with a fixed weight of third element possess either the same weight ratio or the simple multiple or submultiples in which they combine with one another is said to be law of reciprocal proportions. So we will go for the example, and once again we will come back to get the definition. Here see, there is a chemical combination of hydrogen, sulfur and the oxygen. Whereas in the beginning I am taking the common as fixed weight as hydrogen. Hydrogen combines with sulfur, hydrogen combines with the oxygen. Whereas as per the definition insisted, two different elements. Here my two different elements are, one is oxygen and second one is sulfur. These are allowed to combine with fixed weight of first element. The first element is hydrogen. Hydrogen and the sulfur combination gives hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen and the oxygen combination gives water. In both the chemical combinations of the elements, the fixed weight of first element is maintained. That is 2 grams of hydrogen combines with sulfur and 2 grams of hydrogen combines with the oxygen. That is, two different elements, sulfur and oxygen, are allowed to combine with fixed weight of another element. The fixed weight is 2 grams, and the weights with which the fixed weight they are combining are 32 grams of sulfur is combining, 16 grams of oxygen is combining, and they are present in the ratio of 2:1. When these two different elements, sulfur and oxygen, involves in chemical combination, either this ratio or multiples of this ratio or submultiples of that ratio is maintained. Let us go for that one, whether it is correct or not. Sulfur and oxygen chemical combination occurs to form different varieties of sulfur related oxides. One is sulfur dioxide, second one is sulfur trioxide, very familiar. Whereas in sulfur dioxide, sulfur is 32, oxygen is also 32. Whereas in sulfur trioxide, sulfur is 32, oxygen is 16 into 3, that is 48. Here the ratio is 2:2, that is 1:1 ratio. Here the ratio is 2:3. But this 2:2, otherwise 1:1 or 2:3, should be a multiple or submultiple of expected ratio 2:1. Yes, 2:1 into 1/2 times will becomes equal to 1:1. 2:1 into 1/3 times will becomes equal to 2/3. Thus this law is valid. Thus the definition of law, once again, the two different elements which combines with the fixed weight of the first element, when they involves in chemical combination, either they will maintain the same weights ratio or multiples or submultiple times of the first weights ratios, is said to be law of reciprocal proportions. Law of gaseous values. As per this particular law given by the Gay-Lussac, what it states is, in a chemical reaction of complete gaseous components under similar conditions of temperature and pressure, the values of all components, that is reacted components, individual reactants, and the products, individual components of the products, maintains a simple numerical ratio. Let us see, there is formation of ammonia. If I look at the balanced equation, one molecule of nitrogen combines with 3 molecules of hydrogen. As a result, it is converted to 2 molecules of ammonia. Whereas here the number of moles ratio are 1:3:2. From Avogadro's law, it is clear that equal volumes of all gases contains equal number of molecules. So suppose if it is 1 liter is consumed and here it is 3 liters are consumed. As a result, here it is forming 2 liters. So the ratio related to the volumes of the reactants consumed versus volumes of the product produced individual will becomes equal to 1:3:2. A simple numerical ratio of all volumes of the components involved in the chemical transformation is present and is given by law of gases equation. Whereas law of gases values, that is, in a gaseous reaction of all components of gases under similar conditions of temperature and pressure, the values of all components, that is individual reactants and individual products, maintains a simple numerical ratio. Like this, they will maintain a simple numerical ratio. Let us go for other example, that is formation of water. Let us see, hydrogen, oxygen combines water. Whereas this is the balanced equation. Consider all are gases. This is gas, this is gas. Water is also present in the vapor state, that is gas. Whereas under these reaction conditions, if 2 moles of hydrogen is consumed with respect to 1 mole of oxygen, as a result 2 moles of water in the form of vapor or the gaseous state is produced. So therefore the values related to this particular one in respect of moles, if I consider here 2 liters if it is consumed, this is 1 liter consumed, as a result it is produced some 2 liters. So therefore the ratio of values of all components of individual reactants and the products maintains a simple numerical relation, is said to be the law of gases values given by Gay-Lussac. And this is values ratio. Yes, values of reactants and values of the products of individual maintains a simple numerical relation. Limiting reagent. The reagent of chemical combination which is present less in quantity is said to be the limiting reagent. Suppose a chemical combination is occurring, more than one reactants will participate. Let us go for the simplest case, only two components are participating. Out of the two components, one is present excess in quantity, one is present less in quantity. That less in quantity containing component is said to be the LR, that is said to be the limiting reagent. Let us go for the example to illustrate this particular limiting reagent concept. Carbon and oxygen combines in such a way that carbon dioxide formation takes place. Here, from the stoichiometric relations, one carbon combines with one oxygen molecule and gives one carbon dioxide molecule. As per the weights are concerned, for every 12 grams of carbon, some 32 grams of oxygen is required. As a result, it leads to the formation of 44 grams of carbon dioxide from the law of conservation of mass. This is the ever valid relation. For every 12 we required 32 and it produces 44 grams. For suppose if I am not having the enough carbon, I am having 32 grams of oxygen, but I am not having 12 grams of carbon, I am just having 8 grams of carbon. For 32 grams of oxygen I am expecting 12, but here I am having 8. That is having scare, that is having less in quantity are said to be the limiting reagent. The reagent which is present with less in quantity, insufficient quantity is said to be the limiting reagent. Limited quantity of the reagent of chemical combination is said to be the limiting reagent. In this particular reaction of 8 grams of carbon and 32 grams of oxygen, carbon is less in quantity on comparison with the oxygen, hence carbon is said to be the limiting reagent. The amount of compound in the form of product formed is always related with the limiting reagent, because if this reagent is not there, then chemical combination does not occur. So always it is compulsory or necessary, or as a rule we can remember that limiting reagent equivalent amount of compound is formed as product. In this particular case, how much amount of carbon dioxide is produced? Because carbon is limiting reagent, instead of 12 grams, here we are having 8 grams. So therefore, 12 grams of carbon, if it is there, it is going to be producing 44 grams of carbon dioxide. But in this case, I am not having carbon of 12 grams, we are having just only 8 grams. So therefore, 8 grams of carbon produces how much is the question. So therefore, on cross multiplication, the amount of carbon dioxide produced is, that will be given by cross multiplication of these two will becomes equal to these two, 8 into 44 divided by 12, which will becomes equal to 29.33 grams. So therefore, once again I am making to your kind notice that limiting reagent is the substance or the component or the reagent involved in the chemical combination with less in quantity than the required, whereas the product formation or the formed product quantity is in relation with the weight of limiting reagent. In that way, limiting reagent and limiting reagent applications are present. The question for you on behalf of limiting reagent, that is on behalf of ammonia formation. As we know, nitrogen and the hydrogen combination gives the ammonia. Here I am having 21 grams of nitrogen is allowed to react with the 6 grams of hydrogen. In this particular chemical combination of formation of ammonia from the nitrogen and the hydrogen, calculate the limiting reagent. What is the limiting reagent? First question. Second one, you are asked to calculate the extra amount of limiting reagent quantity required to complete the reaction. Calculate the extra amount of limiting reagent required to complete the reaction. And third question is, calculate the amount of product compound formed in this reaction under given conditions of quantities of the reagents. That is, calculate the amount of product compound formed under given conditions. Product compound formed under given conditions of quantities of reactants given. These are the three questions. I hope that if you do these questions, then I can feel that you understood the limiting reagent and concept of limiting reagent in a clear version.